This month, we embark on a new series, Engage to Emerge, and this is in line with our 2022 vision of Emerge. And two things about the Emerge vision is that we have been praying and we continue to embark on a journey of having the church moving out of the four walls because the church is poised to impact the world around us. And so that we are not just looking inwardly to benefit ourselves, to enjoy ourselves, but the Lord has called us to reach out to the world. And so thinking church differently. This is something we have been looking at for the past 5 years, actually 6 years, because next year will be the 7th year as we come to the end of the 7-year period that Pastor Maish has been the senior pastor. This is a vision that God gave him when he was coming in as a senior pastor, and so we've been on this journey, and I am so grateful that I'm part of this movement. It's a movement. And many of us probably have been comfortable with things the way they have been. But COVID has come and just taught us that indeed we have been on the right track. And so one of the things we have received is the affirmation from the pandemic that has happened, that indeed church is not just on the four walls, that we need to look outwardly, we need to think creatively, we need to go out of the box that we have been. For years, we have known church is done in a particular way. And we are saying, no, we can do it differently. In fact, church is where you are. You are the church. And wherever you go, in your workplaces, in the schools that you are in as students, in the business, in the marketplace where you are, that is where you need to take church. And so you become an ambassador of the church, because the church is the body of Christ, and you are part of the body of Christ. One of the most transformational courses I went through in 2019. I think it was 2018 or 2019. I think 2018. Matt can't even remember. But I went through a course that were helping us to just move from a place of church being inwardly to multiplication. And lots of lessons that I learned from that we have been working on slowly by slowly, wanting to have the culture to change so that we are able to multiply. And one of the things from the ELS that we had yesterday, it was so. But Pastor B3 from Harvest Church in Uganda was basically talking about multiplication, and that God created us naturally to multiply. And so we have been created to multiply. And multiplication, in fact, does not require you to go to school. It just happens. Do we go to school to learn how to give birth? It just happens. It's a natural thing. Even animals do it, right? And so that is what God created us for. And so if the church is not growing, is not multiplying, and multiplication in this case is not just giving birth, it is spiritual multiplication. And so today I am privileged to have one of the most dynamic people that has helped me see things differently, Mille. Thank you so much for leading the new thing. Mille is the director of the regional director of Sub-Saharan Africa. And so we are so grateful to have you, Matt, here. Please take a seat. I would like to just ask you a few questions so that we can know you a little bit more. I hope your mic is on.
I hope so too. Are we on?
All right.
All
Yes, you are on.
Great.
First of all, Matt, you become so African. Yes, and you know, that really makes me to connect well with you. You have adopted so well. You have adapted and adopted so well. What is your African name? Which, I know you have been given so many names.
It's true.
So which is your favorite name?
My favorite, I don't know if I have a favorite, but my first was Karanja Maina. That's the first one they ever gave me was Karanja Mine.
Karanja Maina.
Yeah.
Okay. Indeed, you look like one. So I was hoping you'd say our Fula or, yeah, but it's okay. It's all right. It's still Kenyan. So
Yeah.
Karibu sana.
Asante.
So tell us a little bit about the call to come to Africa. What is it that motivated you, or why Africa? Why did you choose? I know you're American, so
It's true.
why did you choose Africa, and why did you choose Kenya to live in Kenya? Because you could actually, you're a regional director of Sub-Saharan Africa. You could go and live in Nigeria or South Africa or anywhere. So why Africa and why Kenya?
It's good. So 2 questions there. The first one, and let me just say thank you for allowing me to be here and to spend time with you this morning. I'm grateful. LifeSpring is a place very close to my heart. So every time I get to come and be a part of you all, it's really a blessing for me. So I moved to Kenya 10 and a half years ago now. So it's been over a decade that I first moved to Kenya. I was much younger then, obviously, and I was just trying to find my footing in ministry and in mission. And at that point in time, I was working at a large church in the U.S. in my home state of Wisconsin. I was doing an internship there, and during that time, I sensed God calling me to overseas missions. So I thought maybe like a 2-week mission trip or something. And as I was having conversations with the pastor, he said, well, we have this organization, we have a partner church in Northern Ireland, and a partner church in Nairobi, Kenya. I couldn't put Kenya on a map if you asked me to at that point. But as soon as he said Kenya, I knew that that's where I was supposed to be. I knew without a shadow of a doubt that I was supposed to come to Kenya. And so the partner church that they had was Nairobi Chapel under Bishop Oscar Mureyu. And so I committed to coming for 1 year, which was about 50 weeks longer than I had planned to leave my home. I'm from a very small village in southern Wisconsin. Everybody there is white. We don't have any black people, any Asian people. We're all white. And it's about 8,000 people. I thought I would live there, get married there, have kids there, die there. That was it. So coming to another continent and coming to Africa was not part of my plan. But at that point in time, and I tried to continue that way, just whatever God says, I'm just trying to be obedient. So I didn't really know why I was coming. I just knew God wanted me here. And then over the course of time, working with Nairobi Chapel, they sent me to Liberia to plant a church. I went back to the U.S. to plant a church in Chicago, and then got connected with New Thing. And one of the things about Nairobi that most Nairobians don't know. So I've traveled to about 20 African nations now. As Nairobians and as Kenyans, we think that there are issues here, and maybe there are. But Nairobi is a much more convenient and comfortable and nice place to live than 99% of the rest of Africa. It's just a great place to live. It's central for a lot of businesses and foreign businesses. Having Kenyan Airways here, you're basically a one nonstop flight to almost anywhere in Africa. The people are phenomenal. The food is wonderful. The city is great. So, I mean, yeah, there's issues. We have traffic. We have construction. We have things, Nini, but it's just a really wonderful place to live. I can't imagine being centered anywhere else in Africa than here.
So in other words, you didn't even know how Nairobi looks like, Kenya looks like, but the first thing that I'm getting from you is just obedience. You felt strongly in your heart, this is where I need to go, and you obeyed. And when you came, you were pleasantly surprised
Very.
that this is a great place to be. Awesome. We appreciate you, and I know there are many, in fact, some statistics a while ago while I was in graduate school, it said that Nairobi and Kenya generally has the highest number of missionaries. Is that true?
It could be. I wouldn't doubt it. I know that I don't see as many white people when I go to places like Nigeria and some other places. Now in Southern Africa, there's a few more, but they're Africans, those in Southern Africa. So.
Yes. So in other words, we are so privileged. As Kenyans, I don't know if we ever get to appreciate who we are, because God has specifically just pointed us out and identified us, and we are so much privileged that many businesses, when they want to start, they will think of Kenya. Many missionaries, when they receive their call, they will think of Kenya. And so we thank God for that, and we should never take that for granted, God's people. So, you are married. Tell us a little about family.
So my wife's name is Teleria.
Yes.
We're married just about 1 year now. She used to work for New Thing in North America, And God sent her here, so the organization sent her here for a 2-week kind of cross-training opportunity. And while she was here, she sensed that God was calling her to move to Africa. So she was going to move to Uganda. And at that point in time, she said, hey, teach me about, living in Africa, cross-cultural living, some of these other things. How do you fundraise? And so over the course of time, we stopped talking about ministry and fundraising and started talking about each other and the attraction that we had there.
I remember. Yes.
So then COVID hit, and I went to the States. So then we were in the same country for a while and got to spend a lot of time together. And then before coming back, and then so we were actually going to move to Uganda. And then as we were praying, we heard God saying, just stay in Kenya. So before coming back to Africa, we got married and have settled here now.
So she was supposed to go to Uganda.
Yes.
And you were to join her.
Yes.
Then the Lord said no.
Stay.
Great. Thank you for listening.
Yeah.
We wouldn't be having you here maybe.
It's
so
true.
Great. And tell us a little bit about New Thing. So I know I have mentioned New Thing here. People probably know, have heard New Thing over and over. So tell us a little bit about New Thing. What is it about? And so that, before you come and speak.
And then also let me just add one thing. My wife sends her greetings this morning.
Right.
She was planning to come, hoping to come, but she's also a pastor. So she's the lead pastor of Covenant Light Nairobi. It's another church that has worked with New Thing, and they have multiple churches in Lagos, Nigeria, and have just planted a church here in Nairobi. And so she's there preaching this morning, and she couldn't be in 2 places at once. But she sends her greetings.
She's a powerful preacher.
It's true.
Yes, so...
Much better than me. Next time you need to have her come.
Sure. In fact, the last time we talked with her, you were to come together. But, I'll pick on her another day. So, yes.
So New Thing, our mission is to be a catalyst for movements of reproducing churches, which just means we help churches to start churches that will start churches that will start more churches. The idea is church planting movements. We believe the only way that we're ever going to reach the whole world is to see more churches planted. And so we equip and empower local churches like this one to multiply, to go into new neighborhoods, new communities, to shape and change culture and transform it to the will of God. And so very, very simply, that's what we do.
So tell us the impact. What have you been able to do so far? And what are some of the stories? If you could pick even 1 or 2 stories, just to help us know how this has impacted and how,
Sure.
yeah.
So I moved back to Kenya in January of 2017 for this role, for the regional director of Sub-Saharan Africa. But the first year, I didn't really know what I was doing. We had never started, New Thing had never started another region. Up until that time, they had only been in North America. So I was kind of the guinea pig, figuring out how do we start new regions, what does that look like? So the first year, nothing happened. The second year, we started to get a little bit of momentum, doing 1 or 2 trainings. And so since 2018, when we really started doing trainings, we've seen nearly 400 new churches planted. So 2018, 2019, not a lot happened in 2020, some because of COVID, and now coming in. So really in about 2.5 years, we've seen nearly 400 new churches planted around Africa. So one of the stories is, actually I'll just tell the Covenant Light story because that's where my wife is serving now. Pastor Noel Manifour and I met 3 years ago, 2018 February. He had left a very large megachurch. He had taken a church from 150 people and grown it to 3,000. And so he's leading this church of over 3,000 people in Lagos, Nigeria. And God said, I want you to leave this church and start a new church and plant churches. So when I met him, he had planted 6. But one of them ran off with his people. And then 3 of them didn't work, so he had to close. So he's down to 2 churches when we met. And he said, God has called me to this work, but I just don't know why it's not working. And so he and I sat and talked, and he put other churches together, and we ran a training with them. So that was February. By the time December came, they were up to 10 churches. They planted 10 churches in that 1 year. And then they went up to 20 before COVID, and now a few of them they put together, so now they're about 16 churches in Lagos, Nigeria, plus now the one here in Nairobi. So in basically 3 years' time, they went from 2 to 20. Another one is Pastor Elisha Kakwere in rural southern Uganda. When we met, he already had 23 churches, but that took about 14 years for him to go to 23 churches. And he said they were just kind of by accident. They just kind of happened. We don't even know how. And so through our training, we've helped to streamline, help him make more intentional with his church planting. And now in the last 3 years, he went from 23 to 64. So he's almost tripled in churches in 3 years, what took him 14 years to do 23.
Wow, wow. And my prayer is for us, because Life Spring Syokimau has been there. We are celebrating 13 years this year. And we've only done 2 churches. That's SyokimauLIFE and SyokimauLIFE. All those were pastors from here. We've done well, comparatively. But I think with the stories I'm hearing, I think we can do more.